Now, there was a lot of exciting new information that came out in the August live stream for Ashes of Creation. And of course, among that is reworks to the maps, to the more information on the node systems, and a rework to the caravan system, among many, many pieces of art, and a little bit of updates to what we can expect from the Alpha 2 phase. But I want to focus on what I think was the most exciting bit of that live stream. And it wasn't any of the reveals, it was actually a question asked by none other than Lazy Peon. Now here's the question.
Some MMOs will not directly play to win in a game or indirectly play to win because they don't take harsh enough action against gold buying. Will you be more harsh on these players than other MMOs to maintain the integrity of the game in Ashes? AKA, will you permanently ban players who buy gold from third-party websites, etc.?
Now, when you hear that question, and if you asked it to almost any other creative director, and to be fair, most creative directors and most projects are not also the primary investor. So they're not really able to just say whatever they want to say, do whatever they want to do. They have to take the interests of the company and of the bottom line in mind whenever they frame their response. Now, Steven doesn't have that problem. And in fact, he has this wonderful gift of saying almost exactly what most gamers want to hear. And it is actually something that, I don't know if he's watching, I'm sure that some of his team happens to be, but Asmongold had actually mentioned that that's basically the only way that you're going to be able to combat RMTs is going to be to actually implement customer service. So let's hear him talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that there is a sanctity that must be protected within the game from RMTing. In games that I've played where the company or the publisher does not enforce rules, it becomes the standard that you buy gold if you want to be competitive. And in order for that not to be the case, it is the responsibility of the publisher or the developers to make sure that we have stringent practices from a customer service perspective to enforce our rules and to make sure that players are aware if they partake in this, there is a huge risk in doing so. We have got to ensure that it is feared to do those things because you know that Ashes has active GMs, it has active customer service. That does not stop at ship. That gets more when we ship. And that means that from an enforcement, from a policy perspective, we need to be Johnny on the spot when it comes to botting or RMTing, because the sanctity of player achievement within the game, when valuing risk versus reward, those things have to accompany it or else it's meaningless.
So that response could not have been much better. Basically, no matter what you do, no matter how complex your systems get, and that is one of the problems with the amount of systems that are at play in Ashes of Creation, is they're getting quite complex, as we've seen with the caravan rework. You're starting to have to throw the caravan a certain radius outside of a node just so that people can't camp the node. And there's all these things at play just to make sure that the experience kind of works, that in essence, one of the concerns is that experience going to break down because there's just so much construction around what should be as simple as hopping on a wagon, putting a box in it and taking it to the second destination. If there's all of this that gets in the way of just doing that, is that going to detract from the fun? Well, obviously they've weighed that it's going to be more important to preserve the fun, to implement these systems, these safeguards against people basically spawn camping caravans. But in the case of real money transactions, there's really not much that you can do to combat that because it can be done outside of the game. No matter what you do, you don't have to put a cosmetic store tied to a certain currency to this or that. If the cosmetics can be purchased from a shop inside of the game with in-game currency, and somebody can sell you that in-game currency via whatever, Bitcoin stuff, some crypto transactions on the dark web, then you can still, in essence, buy cosmetics or buy upgrades and pay to win. Now, Steven clearly hates pay to win stuff. He admits that he's done it before in the past because he had to. He wants to win. And, he's a pretty rich guy, so I'm sure he won. But Most of us are not rich, and we would just lose if that is permitted to happen.
I had to buy gold in other games I played because, and I'll readily admit that, is I don't play games to lose. I play games to win. And when the company or the publisher is not doing anything about the rampant RMTing that's occurring within their servers, what do they expect the players who are competitive to do? There's no choice there. Intrepid was born out of a hatred for that type of interaction between publisher and the developer and the gamers, is that there was no respect for that achievement in the game when somebody could just go out and buy it and not have to worry about retribution, not have to worry about policy enforcement, not have to worry about an active GM on the server. That sucks.
So the safeguard is, and the only way to combat it is, as Asman mentioned, to basically monitor the behavior of players, to track almost like you're the IRS. I hate to invoke them in any positive way, but some kind of a supervising board that sees, hey, you just got 10 million gold from this guy you've never met before suddenly for no reason. And so you can start tracking these accounts, seeing where that money came from, how the money was earned, if these transactions basically, and since it's all inside the digital world, it's easy to keep track of these things. If they hit any point in which flags are raised, like this shouldn't have happened, then there might be some kind of inquiry. That requires somebody to actually come in and look at it. As we've seen with the people who monitor the YouTube videos, there's always people complaining about that. And that's an algorithm that's been designed by Google, by basically the best designers of algorithms in the world, and they can't really handle a video. So it's tough. And at the end of the day, you do actually need a real person sitting in judgment of whatever transaction just happened. And that's the sort of thing that Stephen is, in essence, committing to here. He's saying that's what they're going to bring to the game, and that's how they're going to preserve the thing that's so important to him, which is the risk-reward relationship that is going to drive the value in the world of Ashes of Creation. So that was my favorite part of this live update. Let me know what your favorite part was, and please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.